What is up, everyone, and welcome to another JellyPod episode. Today, I'm here with Little Thunder from the BankerLabs project. Now, this is an OG project that has launched years ago now. They're doing a ton of really cool stuff in the sort of business acquisitions and passive income and crypto mining and bourbon and a bunch of pretty crazy acquisitions recently. So I'm excited to have you on today. We're going to be talking about some of these acquisitions, what it's like been building Banker Labs, and some of the new exciting things that are coming up. One of the things that I like to start off with here, Andrew, is what was your journey into Web3? Like, how did you get into this crazy space?
Yeah. So first, thanks for having me on, Jason. And so in terms of the way I got into Web3, it was really my wife telling me to stop playing phone games. So for any of the guys out there, your wives hate it when you go to the bathroom, you're playing that video game for 20 minutes. And I made a deal with my wife. And I said, look, if you'll let me start a crypto project, I will stop playing these phone games because I was playing a ton of these games, ton of fun. And I don't think she realized, nor did I realize, the amount of time that being a project founder takes. And it's been an awesome experience, but also one that takes a ton more time than those phone games. But that's what got me started. NFTs was a huge passion of mine. When you play video phone games, you're competing for the best gear, all those sorts of things. I looked at that. I looked at the Cardano space ecosystem, cornucopias, some of the games that were coming out at that time. And I went, that's perfect. Like, people will buy NFTs to get better in the game. Now, that hasn't panned out yet for Cardano, and I think it's because of the user base, but it's coming. And you see what Hydra and Doom and some of those things that are there. Once we get that base, games will do well here. So that's what brought me to Web3.
Awesome. So it was a negotiation. It was a trade war essentially between you and your wife. Hey, we'll trade off the video games a little bit, and I'll try to run a project. Now, did you think running this project was going to be nearly as extensive as it has been? I know you
I
had
had no
mentioned that
idea.
it was a lot of work, but like, did you know what you were getting into at all?
No idea. I think I was pretty naive coming in, thinking like, yeah, I run a large company, very very large company, and you forget all the positions in the company that I was in to get to where I was. You need all those positions, even though it's a small project on Cardano. You need all those positions. The thing I was not prepared for in Web3, and thankfully we had founders that were across the country. It's 24/7. Your Discord, you need to be able to answer questions of your holders at 3 a.m. East Coast time when it's afternoon in Greece or wherever they are, right? And so that's the piece I was not prepared for. And thankfully, we had 14 founders and they were able to pick up some of that slack for me.
Yeah, and like when it comes to Cardano, like I know you had mentioned cornucopias, but what had gotten you into Cardano out of all of the chains? Were you already, interested in crypto at that time? And yeah, like what was the Cardano route?
You'll love this story. Shy salamanders, a total rug. So I was looking at Cardano. I had invested in the token, right? So I was doing Bitcoin, ETH, Cardano. And then I was thinking about this NFT thing. Well, it just so happens I typed in Google, search for NFTs, Cardano, because I like Cardano. And at that point, apparently they were marketing. You were going to be able to combine two NFTs and birth like a baby salamander. So me and Extra Crispy, my brother, we jumped into that project. That project is actually my first NFT investment. And I think Extra Crispy has like 300 of them. There is a total rug. The guy just disappeared.
Oh,
Um, that's what got me in. And then I went heavy into Havoc Worlds for the art and cornucopias. Those were our first three like heavy sort of investments from an NFT standpoint.
yeah, man. I mean, I remember all of those projects too. Yeah, Havoc Worlds had some pretty insane art. It's kind of crazy thinking back to that time of NFTs where people didn't really know what was going on. There wasn't any it was pure speculation. There wasn't any like, oh, this is what an NFT project needs to do. And it's interesting because we're still kind of in that standpoint of, okay, how can we leverage NFTs? Where's this going? And it kind of brings up a big question to me with you guys is like, I remember when Bank first came out, it was around the time Sneck had launched,
Mhm.
crazy attention on sort of meme coins. And when Bank came out, it was really about making sort of monopoly game and kind of being a meme coin a little bit, but not fully. And now it's transitioned into BankerLabs, where you guys are buying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mining equipment and buying bourbon bottles and all this stuff. I mean, can you kind of walk through the journey of what Banker Labs has turned into and kind of like a rundown of what you guys are doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we came together, we were 14 founders. We were NFT focused, and we saw that hype. Sneck created a massive amount of hype, and so we decided, instead of launching an NFT project first, this is the perfect time to launch a token first project. And so I would say that we definitely did that at the right time. We caught some of that. We caught a lot of heat for it as well. But at the end of the day, like, means to an end, we got exactly what we wanted. We got a little bit more than we wanted because we got botted to hell and went like we got botted to 50 million ADA market cap. I think a lot of people, when they look at our chart, they don't realize that's literally how high it went. 50 million market
Wow.
cap over that weekend. I think we broke MinSwap that weekend because Sneck also was running heavy that weekend, and it was just a massive amount of transactions. So total meme off of Monopoly. We were going to develop a Monopoly themed game. We actually bought a project called Bankopoly, or Cardopoly, that we named Bankopoly, because they had a working Monopoly themed game. And so we went in it that way. The space changed, right? So then everything happened where the SEC was going after folks, and everybody kind of fell off a cliff, right? And excitement in Cardano went away. I think for any good founder, project, business, the ability to pivot is so important. And so we sat down as a team, we saw the future landscape, and we went, look, we can go hard memeing this. It's a PvP world, but what we're actually good at is utility. And in my personal business, I leverage scale every single day. And so if we can get to scale, we can leverage utility for our holders. And so we made the pivot with the bank card mint, so our first NFT mint, that look, we're going to take all these funds, we're going to dump it into revenue producing verticals, and then we're going to give that to our community. And we sold out in, I think, 11 hours, which at that point in time was tough to do, selling an NFT mint. It was a small collection, 2,500. Followed that up with a second PFP collection, again, following trends. Everybody saying, well, you need a PFP. You're not a real project unless you have a PFP collection, right? You remember those. And so we did that. 3,100 NFT collections sold out again very, very fast. From there, some things happened personally in some of our founders' lives, and we were blessed to be able to kind of really just inject a lot of capital into the project in the form of buying miners for the project, buying earth nodes, air nodes, a lot of different things. And the project now is set up from a long-term perspective, off of residual revenue off of these things. Now, I say that, I will knock on wood. Okay, if Bitcoin goes down to 30K, we're all in a rough spot here, right? Everybody's in a rough spot. But if you believe crypto is going to make it, we have diversified this project to a degree where we're going to win, and our holders are going to win because it's all a percentage game now. They get the vast majority of everything. We're working off a small percentage of rewards, and I feel like when everybody has skin in the game and everyone shares in success, I feel like that's a recipe for a good project. And all stakeholders, when you think about bank, whether it be NFT collections, token, bourbon holder pass, all that kind of stuff, everybody gets a little piece. And so that's where we've pivoted to today.
Yeah, it's funny. like to tag onto a couple of those points, like one on the adaptability, completely agree. Because especially in crypto, you've got to be able to adapt because we're operating in a space that there isn't a clear outline of, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. It's not like a grocery store or something, right? Like we're in a completely new emerging space where even now we're seeing different strategies and attention going into different ways. And I think going to that sort of grassroots approach of, hey, one thing that won't go away is like being able to have different verticals where you can invest in that pay you back.
Yep.
And like you said, being able to get the NFTs almost as like stakeholders in that of being able to benefit with the community on these different operations. I think that was like a no-brainer thing to do. And we've been seeing a lot more projects take that route. I am curious. So you had brought up the mining and the air nodes. Like what all stuff have you guys gotten into? And what's kind of a deciding factor of what you get into as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So early on in our sort of meme journey, right, there was a project on Cardano, Goofy Gophers, that took a chance on us. They do Kingdom Trust, they do mining. They were the first to do it on Cardano. They took a chance on us, and so we went with them. And they changed our project's trajectory, is what I would say. So mining for me has always been something that I've been interested in. I did it personally myself. I see some advantages to it. You have to get a good electric rate. And so the partners that we have today, where we went heavy, Cardania and Neo Vikings, and then we still have a massive amount with Goofy Gophers as well. But we've got good electric rates, so that's important. So that's one vertical for us. We wanted a differentiator. A lot of people don't know, while Sneck was launching the energy drink, we were sitting with the same folks looking at, we were actually going to do a candy bar at the time, a Willy Wonka style banker candy bar where you pull out the golden ticket, it's an NFT. Like we were super excited about it. But we didn't go down that path. We ended up going, this bourbon opportunity came around. And so that was more of our, look, like we're going to have a tangible, in real life thing you can hold that represents you being a holder of banks. So we've got the bourbon vertical, 17 barrels there now. We bottled 2. And then World Mobile. So this crazy guy, Oceanic Goon, drives to my office here in North Carolina and tells me about World Mobile token. And I'm not even pre-selling that yet. I'm pre-selling that down the line because Hoskillian gets to do that first. But I could not be more excited about World Mobile. And I think one of the reasons I am excited about it as a vertical is it gives a bit of protection outside of the whole crypto space. People will always need internet and Wi-Fi. And you're getting rewards from these air nodes on a monthly basis that let's say this tariff situation blows up. Everything drops. I'm getting a USDT coming in monthly. I could go buy ADA and get triple the ADA that I could get if it doesn't pop. If ADA pops, Bitcoin also pops up. I've got miners to handle that. So that diversification play, and it's all coming back into Cardano. To me, I feel like we've got a really good spread of risk. So we've got bourbon. And then the final vertical for us is DeFi, which is Cardano native token based. We have a space this afternoon with Matera. I think you'll hear a lot of good things there around what we're going to do with index funds, spreading the risk around these Cardano native tokens and DePIN or lending or wherever it is. That they're going to be a tremendous asset for projects like ours that, again, you kind of sort of hunt and peck. You're picking 5 or 6 tokens. You're telling your holders, hey, we got a DeFi vertical, but really you're making these choices. And we want to let Matera and Cerberus and what they're putting together do that for us as a project. And I feel like it will lend a lot of credibility to that vertical. But yeah, those are our 4 verticals. So bourbon, DeFi, World Mobile Token, and mining. And then we also spun up an Iagon server, which went up last week. So we've been up 6 days. That's super exciting as well. I think we filled that server in a minute after I announced it. So there's a ton of pent-up demand of people with Iagon token looking for servers, right? So a project founder that can figure that out and get those servers up, that's going to be a huge advantage to your holders. So those are our verticals.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to that you guys diversified in different things, and some of them have higher risk and higher rewards, and maybe lower risk, lower rewards. And so a lot of I guess like when it came to deciding on to go for them, for the bourbon, for example, what was kind of like the idea behind the bourbon business? I mean, I know with World Mobile, you were saying people always need internet. But yeah, like I'm curious on the bourbon one specifically.
So NFT collector. I'm also a massive gun collector. So when I think about
The
like
North
I was
Carolina way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So man room, you think about the wall, you got all this stuff. One thing that is consistent between NFT holders, gun collectors, card collectors, whatever it is, you typically got a room where you showcase this stuff. I'm in the world of insurance, which is boring, which means there's a lot of drinking going on. And a lot of my sales guys are in these clubs for bourbon. And at the end of the day, the reason they're buying this bourbon is to put that new piece that they didn't have on their wall in their man room. And so when we were thinking about, okay, what's that? And again, we were going through that candy bar kind of concept. I went, look, like all of my sales guys have these rooms with nothing but bourbon bottles. Our holders, a lot of them probably partake in bourbon or whatever. This is that memento that goes on the wall that they can explain to their wife or the wife explaining to their husband if it's the other way. Like, no, no, this is what I do. When you see me on my phone, I'm trading this project. And here's something that they do that I was able to buy because I'm a holder of bank. And so with Sneck with the energy drink as well. Think about how many people know about Sneck right now because of the energy drink versus the token. We all are in this space. We're in it every day. We know about 250 tokens. We know something about, especially you, Jason, right? You're probably gonna have them all in your podcast. But like, if you think about your cousin or your brother's sister, you know, like that type of thing. When they think about crypto, they need something tangible to relate it back to them. Mining does that. Bourbon does that. It's something that they can hold, and so that's one of the reasons we went that direction.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah, I just find that really interesting, the bourbon side. That I feel like there's a ton of different businesses out there that people just have no idea about, but then actually have insane potential. And it's like those little niches that I find pretty interesting. Now, like with all these different businesses that you guys are buying, acquiring, investing in, like how do the holders benefit? I know that you guys have been teasing this sort of BankFi dashboard coming up. Like, what? How does that all work?
Yeah. So the cool part with our project, we give it all back. So we purchased an equity position in Levy. So we get a percentage of everything from the interest income that comes in. We get a percentage of that. It's paid weekly. What we do with that today is we buy angel tokens, which also get rewarded on a monthly basis. So we're doing that and compounding it basically. That's getting seeded into our DeFi vertical on BankFi. So BankFi is coming. It starts April 23rd with mining. It will be a new dashboard for us and Yepple, which we also acquired. But the first acquisition we made was Levy, a percentage of Levy. It hit them at the right time. It was just an opportunity that came up. And so at that point, when we did that, and it was Super Bowl weekend, we did not have in mind that we were going to then turn around and purchase an equity position in Chad token as well. And then we were going to end up actually acquiring Yepple. It really just started with a conversation during the Super Bowl that I went, hey, let's do this. I've loved Levy. I was an Ape Society member, and I was not in a position to purchase Levy when they put it up for bid. And so getting a second crack at getting a piece of that was important to me. And so it does it. So it seeds our DeFi vertical. When we do our sale, the first people that buy into that vertical, it's about the first 500,000 in terms of what's raised, actually get units that are the Levy. It's the Levy equity. It's also the Chad token equity. So we bought an equity position in Chad. We have a pre-workout formula coming, hopefully by Rare Evo. It's going to be called Thunder Bros pre-workout formula. I am dieting right now and trying to work out so that I have a before picture and an after picture for Rare Evo. And then finally we acquired Yelp. So, we did all those things so that it would benefit our holders. And they basically will get the rewards from that in BankFi. So you'll be buying units in BankFi. All that stuff feeds into those units, and they'll get a percentage of the rewards.
Yeah, how did these sort of acquisitions take place? Was it like you guys were pretty like what kind of went into deciding that? Because it's like, okay, you said Levy, so you're getting the lending and borrowing aspect. Chad, which really blew up and has a super strong community, meme coin, but they make a lot of really good content. Then you also have this Yeppel acquisition. I mean, this is like crazy. Like, I don't think I've known another project that has acquired so many different, businesses. Like, how did these sort of things take place? Were you just like, hey, these are businesses that I believe in. Let me see if I can message them and, get a percentage of their company. And were they like, yeah, we could use the extra funding? What was the rundown of that?
Almost exactly. So that's almost exactly how it went. So we have a saying in insurance, never make an enemy because they show up somewhere else. And so when I got into Cardano, I think some people made fun of me early on Spaces because it was like I was like a revivalist, like we're gonna bring everybody together. I don't think they actually realized, no, I freaking meant that. Like I have kept really, really good relationships with other project founders, and I have a ton of DMs where we talk through these things. And so let's do Levy. Levy was because of Commander, who also hooked me in with Cardania. We formed this relationship. We talk a ton, and that was the connection point. And so it was really the first one. Levy was really me like, let me just try, right? So I threw a number out. Maybe I went too high because they accepted pretty quick. That was the first one, right? And then Chad. So the founders of Chad, Majewski, is in derps. I am a massive holder of derps. So I love NFTs. I love gamification. Those guys do it well. They're an OG project on Cardano. And because I knew he was behind it, I knew it was the real deal. And so, yeah, we had a lot of conversations. I think he may have he actually approached me on that one. And we were in the midst of the Levy deal by then. And we worked something out. Advertising, marketing, what they do with those videos was important for us. And then finally, Yeppel saved our butts on meme token launch. So for those that don't remember, we launched a pre-sale. It had a $750,000 cap. At that point, that's what people were doing, right? This is the wild, wild west of Cardano back then. You literally, here's a wallet address. Just send us ADA and we'll get it back to you, right?
Crazy.
People did it. So we got 2.3 million ADA. And we shut it down. If we hadn't shut it down, we'd have got way more. And so Extra just said off camera 15 minutes. That all happened in 15 minutes. And so we had to refund like 1.4 million ADA. And we were not equipped to do that. So Yeppel stepped in and saved our butts, right? I mean, I think founders were getting death threats at that point. Like, you stole my money. It's like, no, we're totally legit. 2 years later, we're sitting here. We formed a really, really strong relationship with those guys. There's the three of them. They actually drove down to meet us 2 weekends ago, spent a lot of time together, broke bread. And so knowing what's coming with BankFi, because BankFi for us is massive. It is a dashboard. It is going to be a launch pad. It is going to be a marketplace for our units. It'll be a place for other projects. And you're going to have all these verticals. This conversation went like, look, we're going to be spending all our time on bank anyway. Should we not look at a merger acquisition? And so a lot of negotiation on that one. It's by far our largest deal. But we got it done, and we're super pumped about what's to come. I think even just the BankFi launch, we're only like a month into this sort of partnership, and there's a lot more to do together, is what I would say there.
No, I think that's awesome too, because I mean, we were having this conversation in DMs of how hard it is to find capable developers in the space. And those guys at Yupple are as good as it gets. I mean, they've been in the space for a long time. They've done a lot of sales. They've helped a lot of projects. And dude, you threw me back to how crazy it was back then. Like you could easily raise millions of dollars on these sales. Like you just, and people were just hoping that you would send them the ADA back. I mean, you guys could have left this open, cashed out 6 million ADA, and just freaking, went home.
Yep.
I mean, what a crazy
I
time.
always
And
always laughed like, so we got bought and we went back down and people were like, "You're a rogue, you're gonna steal the money," and I'm over here like, if we were gonna steal Ada, we would have done it up front.
we would have just,
Like,
yeah,
probably
we
that
would
would
have
have been,
done these extra steps.
yeah, and it, it what's interesting today in the space is you think back there, we've lost some of the joy. Because I feel like now when a project launches, they have to show you where you're going to make a 200% return on this utility, and you got to like
Yes.
everybody has to be doxxed. And I hate that we lost some of that joy because we had the bad actors that we had in the space. Because I remember tokens that launched after us, and me getting caught up in the excitement of those. I had people in my ear like,
Yes.
they're copying you, they're competitors, and I'm going, I kind of want to send some ADA to the wallet, see what happens. Maybe if 50x's. Like we've lost that because now I feel like when a project launches, you're just waiting for it to run, right? And then it's like a surprise when it makes it. It's like, oh, they actually made it. I hope we get, I hope we get more banks and jelly cubes, right? Because the more of those type projects that we get, the ones that made it, that persevered, that are successful on the other side, you're going to start getting some of that joy back. Now, that's also going to come if tariff wars in, Bitcoin goes to 150, Cardano goes to $2. That euphoria is coming back. And Jason, you and I will benefit from that, right? We totally will. But part of that coming back also needs to be that projects like ours and others that persevered, we need to be looking at those and we need to make sure newer projects have some sort of baseline so that liquidity doesn't get rugged like it did during that time frame. Because that 6 month time frame, there were a lot of tokens that launched, and I don't think many of them are left.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, if you think about it, it was like there was a lot of money that was being sent into things completely speculative where you didn't know the team at all and there was no product or anything and they were getting millions of dollars. Like at some point, it was going to catch up. At
Yeah,
some point, there was going to be people that are like, okay, this is a little crazy.
there's like
Now
little
I am
baby
curious.
snacks. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and I, oh, go for it. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there were like 15 little baby snacks. Like there was every variation of snack you could possibly come up with. There was during that time. It was fun.
Yeah, facts. And also, looks like over 185 people have tuned in on the different platforms live so far. So, if any of you guys have any questions that you want to ask Little Thunder, feel free to put them in the chat. Did want to say what's up to DeFi Mofo. Thanks for coming on. Gunny. Greg was saying, let's get jacked with some pre workout. So, good luck on your journey, man. Looking for group bank from P Dubs and over on the X side, Bank the Bank. I did want to get into the acquisition of Yupple because I find that one particularly interesting. You had mentioned Matera as well. This is a project that we've also been helping with on the Jelly Cube side of things. What does the acquisition of Yupple look like? And can you walk me through like what's going on with Matera, which I believe is your guys' sort of first launch
It is.
after this Yupple acquisition?
Yes. So it is our first sort of combined launch. And what I would say is, maybe people don't know, Jason and I talked quite a bit through DMs during this process, and you've got some folks on your team that were also close with Yupple, and so I feel like when I look at what we're going to be able to do, it's really more than just a launch. It's a way to promote projects. Jelly Cubes are big, does that. And we're going to do that as well. And so specifically with Matera, um, it's a product that I wanted. Like I was on a space with Speechmore Diamond Hooves the other day, and 2 years ago, he was the artist for one of our collections. He and I were talking about someone should launch an index fund. And to be here sitting now where I'm not launching it, they're launching it, but being able to help them launch through Yepple and do that token launch, I think is really, really important. We want to partner in their success. So it is a situation where we're going to promote, but we're also going to actively participate in their project. Our DeFi vertical is going to buy index funds. And so it's more than just launch it and forget it, walk away. It's like, no, we believe in this. And I think what you'll see from us and Yepple as we move forward, you're going to see us promoting, launching projects, but also having something in place for those projects long term where we're either a part of it or we're making sure the holders are protected. And we'll have that come out later because I can't leak stuff. The rest of my founders hate when I leak stuff. But we are looking for something like that where it is fair launches, good projects, and long-term vision. And that's what we're looking to do. And I know you guys as well, like you do some similar things. When we launched, you guys had this chat where you're kind of talking through, hey, there's 50 meme coins coming out this week. Like, which one should we get, right? And it's not an exact science, but at the end of the day, if you've got holders that are doing a little bit of due diligence, it gives your people that are in that chat an advantage. And I feel like in this day and age, that's a huge deal. We're excited about Matera. I think they have been around since 2021. So 3 years in the making for this launch. They've had NFT collections, they've got lockups, all those sorts of things. But now is a chance for everybody to get in. I've noticed they've partnered with a lot of projects. And so we're excited. We're excited for that to be our first one. We feel like it's going to be a really good one.
Yeah, and we were talking about this too. I feel there's a need on Cardano for a launch pad that helps support the projects that's launching on it and also does a little bit of due diligence of like, hey, like let's make sure whatever we're launching is something that we can put our name behind. And like with Jelly Cubes, what we do is we help with some of their marketing and advising, but that's more behind the scenes. Our goal wasn't really to be a launch pad, but more so like, hey, let's teach you guys some of the lessons and blah, 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 blah. And what we were doing and are doing is partnering with different actual launch pads, whether that was MinSwap or Axo or now with Yepple and you guys. And I think one of the things with Yepple is that they had a really great dev team that could do a lot of custom sales stuff, but they didn't really bring too much exposure to the project. And I think that's where your relationship with them was such like a light bulb in a sense, because you guys are able through your community, which you guys have a very strong community, a very active community, passionate community, honestly, diamond handed. I look at your guys' collections, and a lot of them have less than 2% of the supply listed. I think which is really insane in this market. So I think that you guys are a really great match where, hey, you guys can help a little bit of getting it out there in the community, and they can make sure that's actually done on a good technical standpoint.
I would say yes. That's when we were talking, it was like this is a perfect synergy, right? Like we can promote, we can get this out to the masses. You guys are the best at what you do. We're not the best at what we do, but we're very good at what we do, and we can help there. What you said about what you're doing behind the scenes, there are so many project founders that don't know what they're getting into. So, as we started this
100%.
conversation, you think about me. I'm running a massive business, 150 employees. I come into this like, I got this, I had no idea what I was stepping into. And to think about people that launch a project for the right reasons, it's all there, right? But they get into it and they're over their head. You being able to counsel them before that and say, have you thought about this, 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 this? There have been, I think I've sent 12 projects to Legal Bison, which is a consulting firm that basically tells you where you should incorporate your crypto company, right? And all of those have been post them launching, where they're asking the questions around, wait a second, am I going to get in trouble after they launch, right? And so exactly the way we did, it's like, wait a second, we can get in trouble here. It's things like that where are you thinking about, everybody thinks about success. This thing's going to blow up. I'm going to make millions of ADA. They don't think about, now we're 8 months in. There's no more mint. There's no more money coming in. We've got hosting costs. We've got this. I'm having to pay mods. Those are things project founders need to be guided on up front. And so, when we talked about what you're doing, I feel like it's a great service because it gives them a better shot at success. And that's really all they want. They want a better shot at success. The opportunity here on Cardano is very, very rich right now. If you're a project founder, you know what you're doing. If you've been equipped, whether that be in life or through like Big and what you guys are doing, JellyPod, what you're doing, you don't have a lot of competition. Now, some would look at that and go, well, the usage rate is down on Cardano. I view that as, wait a second, we have all the opportunity of every chain, and you are only competing with 6 competent people. Like in terms of project founders that are really, really there, that's a great place to be as a project founder. I would want to launch there versus PvP and versus 140 people that are all meme coining. That's tough. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think also, I actually have a tweet that's scheduled for in a few days, but I realize that most of the projects that I've had on the JellyPod have been here for over 3 years now, or pretty close to it. And I think building things that are great take a long time, especially in the crypto space. To actually be here after a few years is no easy task, especially with how attention based everything is. And I feel like a lot of projects, one, didn't have that long-term planning in mind, but two, maybe didn't also have that long-term commitment in mind either. And I think a lot of projects drop off in these sort of dead times where people aren't paying as much attention. And that's when, in all reality, the opportunity is there. Because the moment that the market comes back, if you're a believer in crypto or ADA or whatever the case is, that's when you're pre-positioned to succeed. Whereas now everyone else has to sort of start from scratch, and it takes a while. And now you're competing with all these projects that have been here for a while and have established that and worked out these different kinks. So it's definitely a huge testament to yeah, there isn't a lot of competition right now. There's not a lot of people that care. There were a lot of bad actors in the space. And if you're able to, start these businesses now and be in that position, the wave is going to get there. That actually brings me up to my next question here. What do you feel is the most difficult and challenging thing of what you guys are trying to do? What do you guys think you need to sort of overcome, the challenges that you're facing with this?
So we went all utility, and we're paying out about 20,000 ADA a month to our holders, and that's great. Keeping that fresh, keeping momentum is tough when you're doing the same thing. Even if you're paying people every month, they just come to expect, okay, I'm going to show up to the staking site, I'm going to get my, and then I'll see you next month, right? And so I would say for us, we would struggle with how do we continue to make this fun on a monthly basis? How do we make sure we're lively in chat, lively on Twitter? We're a fun group. When you're just a meme, you have to do that daily. When you have utility, I think you got to do things on a weekly, monthly type basis. But that is there, and I would say that is a challenge. It's probably a challenge for everybody because right now, because it's not fun. Crypto is not fun right now. It was fun. We were at 120 ADA. Trump just got elected. The future is super bright. Now, uncertainty. That's why the market's down. At the end of the day, tariffs, whatever it is, what it really is uncertainty. And so when you see ADA go back down to 56 cents, Are we the chain? Is it going to be somebody else? Is somebody else going to come up? And you start questioning yourself, right? And when you have that across the board, overcoming that uncertainty in the slow times, I think projects, you have to have a strong core community that just believe they're going to follow you. If I said jump off the roof, they're jumping, right? And we have that core community that if I said, hey, we're all gonna Barcelona today, they probably would do it. They question, but they would do it. And so I believe we've fostered and cultivated a group that can trust some of our decision making, but keeping it fun, gamifying it. I think it's been our biggest challenge. It's tough to do that in slow times.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. I mean, attention just drops off so heavily. We even notice it in our Discord when the market's pumping and green candles are going on, it draws attention. I think crypto just has such a crazy burnout rate too, because it's like you're seeing things go up and down and you're in the wrong thing. And then you see some meme coin run and you didn't make money on it. And then you lost on some other meme coin. Like, I think the burnout rate is just insane. And that's one of the tough things with being a founder too, is you've got to deal with all the bullshit in the crypto space and not burn out with that and not burn out running the project. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a decent amount of market dependencies on it. I think you need to do what you can though as a founder to kind of control what you can control. Now, do you have I guess any sort of idea of how to keep things fun and interesting? Like, are you guys going to gamify anything? I know you used to be super into the gamification games and stuff. Is there, like, how do you keep the community motivated and pumped up like during this time?
So we try to do a lot of like Twitter contests, Discord contests, raffles, things like that. We halted that going into BankFi because everything's been poured into BankFi. But what you'll see a lot of that where we do. I don't know if you use FarmBot at all in your Discord? The
No,
drips.
I know what it is. Yeah, where you can drip the yeah.
It's like one of the things we did prior to BankFi is we basically went out, we bought a bunch of other project tokens, and then we drip them into our Discord. And you get rolls, and then if you do certain contests, you get a roll where you get a drip. So initially, like we did Cotcoin, we did Chad, we did Titan, we did Iagon, we did Roll Mobile. We're buying stuff people want, right? And then we're dripping it at a time where things, especially like Chad and Cotcoin, like they were like hyped and kind of competing at the same time, right? And we're like, well, let's drop them both, like that gets people coming to your Discord. You do the rumbles, you do some of those Discord games, but those are some of the things that we've done. I think what you'll see when we do BankFi, we're going to be launching these verticals. You're going to be watching us buy all these miners, buy air nodes. You're going to have a ton of updates on a weekly basis around like, hey, we just got $3,000 from our air nodes. It's like boom, and that keeps the community engaged. The other thing that we will have, so post BankFi launch, is really when we can develop the rest of the playbook with YEPL. And I think what you'll see then is our holders excited about launches because they know that helps bank to a degree. Like you'll have that where that will be a positive and another sort of touch point engagement point for us. But and I'll mention one more. So we're partnered with the Game Room, which Inmates did, and they're partnered with Neo Vikings, which is a mining thing. We have a game on that platform. So something we're going to announce, I guess is kind of alpha, but like in May, the entire month, like you're going to be able to win bank by playing games over there. We're going to give away, an NFT as a reward, and Inmates and Hansel are going to put some stuff up. But it's things like that where now our community can go play that. And I would say I learned from good projects. Dirtbirds does a game. They call it a season. They're on their second season now, but that keeps your community engaged, some of that gamification. So we're trying to do a little bit of that.
Love it, man. Love it. And what's up, Deco? I see you in here as well. And P Dub win Barcelona trip. I don't know. I've been to Barcelona one time just for a day. I'd love to go back and actually explore the city there. Well, Andrew, this has been an awesome call. I think like kind of my last question here is where do you hope to ultimately see Bank going in the longer term? Like in the next 5 years, which is really 30 years in crypto,
Yeah,
like where do you hope to see like the project, ultimately go, long-term vision here?
I hope to be full time. So full time crypto at that point. We will
Oh, full
probably,
time. You full
yeah, full time. Yeah.
So you would
So
sell your business or what?
yeah, so I would, yeah. Well, I wouldn't. Obviously, I'm just a part owner in it, but I've always viewed this as a next step for when I don't need to work, and I'm hoping that happens in the next 5 years. So I think extra as well. It would be a situation where we would again make an agreement with our wives that I'm sitting in an office somewhere, but it's me and extra and probably the Apple guys and a couple other folks, and we're truly fully Web3. At that point, from a mining perspective, and I mentioned this to our holders, we're going to go big in mining. Like we're trying to scale, and so we're looking for facilities and land and places with Cardania in USA. We're fixing to announce a partnership with another large project around mining in Russia. And so that'll obviously involve Neo Vikings, but also involve another project. And then from a world mobile standpoint, what we're doing with Hoskillion, to me, that can be the future for a lot of people. Once World Mobile is in the USA, once those Hex Guardians are up, projects that sort of got in early on that, again, 5 years from now, everything goes well for them. They break into that market. You're going to look back and just be really excited that you got in early. And so that's what we're looking at. Now, 5 years from now, I fully feel like Bank will have 6 other verticals. There'll be things I don't even know about today. There'll be probably 15 pivots between now and then. But fully, like I'm committed to our holders. I loved meeting 30 to 40 of them, of our specific holders at Rare Evo last year. And to me, that confirmed like these are my people, if that makes sense. Like when you meet people in person, when you hang out with them and you realize like, wait a second, like we're all about the same thing. And I saw a lot of people that are balding middle-aged men with young kids from Rare Evo, and I go, hey, there's a bunch of guys here like me. Like this is crazy, like it's nuts. And I felt good about that. Like I did. Certainly. Now that's because we did our party tonight as a women's Cardano women's thing was somewhere else. So there weren't a lot of women at my party. It was just a bunch of guys like me, right? But this year we hope to get a good number of the Cardano girls at our event. So excited about that. But yeah, that's 5 year plan. Is Bank is massive, Cardano is massive, and we're all winning together.
Oh yeah, that actually you got to bring the bourbon. I just had Lily on yesterday too, so if you wanted to connect with the Cardano
Yep.
girls, I can hook you up if you haven't already.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
dude, you actually made me think of one final question. Okay, so you obviously went in, invested a lot of your personal money into this. I saw you make a post, I think, about like reverse rugging or something, where like you instead of taking money out, you even
I'm
invested
rugging
more
myself.
money. Yeah. So like
I've
what
rugged my money.
yeah, like I guess like a kind of a two-part thing here is, what kind of gives you so much passion to give back to your holders, and what kind of gave you the, I guess, the drive to, really go all in on this and invest more money into it. Yeah.
So this is probably not be the best answer, but fuck the trolls. So everybody who made fun of us those 2 weeks after we launched, where we were going down, they had no idea who they were messing with. And so for me, like when you doubt me, I will show
Mm.
you. I will freaking show you. I saved some of those tweets, and on an annual basis, I send a tweet out and I say, yeah, I'm still here. Because for me, like it wasn't just attacking me, right? Again, I'm just a founder. You had all these people coming in our chat telling our holders they were shit. and I call them greens because when you're not verified in our chat, you're green. And like, I'm doing that smiling, and extra, my brother knows. I was like, man, I got into this as a hobby. Now I'm in it. Now you're going to find out.
Personal. It's
Yeah, now it's
personal.
personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I tell my holders all the time, no, we will win. We're going to win. So the only way we don't win is if crypto itself doesn't win, because I'm here, I don't need it back, and I'm going to make sure our holders win. And I'm a holder. Like, I think that's important too. We didn't even touch that, but like, invest in projects where the founder is a holder of the NFTs or the token in the project. I locked all of my bank. It's locked. I can never sell it. 200 billion bank. I bought it on the secondary. I wasn't gifted it. It's locked because when we win, I'm winning. I own 10% of the NFT supply. You will never see me sell an NFT. I'll sell other NFTs, but well, I hardly do that. But I'm not selling my bank NFTs. And so I believe we're going to win together. And unfortunately, when you ask that question, like literally, I could give like that rose-colored answer, like, "Oh, we just want to win together." No, the people that doubted us, that made fun of us, it's like, okay, I'm going to serve it to you every day. And I feel like I have every day for the last 2 years. So.
Dude, I love that answer, honestly. It's some, I don't know if you know David Goggins, but it kind of reminds me of some David Goggins shit where he's just like super hardcore on it. No, I agree. It's funny. There's almost like two types of motivation as a project founder that you innately get. One of the motivations is, all right, motherfucker, you doubted me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you who should, like, you really messed up. Like, oh, you're talking about selling this and blah, blah. Okay, I'm paying attention. Like, wait until I show you guys like what I'm capable of. And then like the other side of motivation is, and it's not everyone, but you'll have those people in your community that are just super supportive and believe in you to like an extreme level. And those ride or dies give you even more motivation because, okay, let's say you have 100 holders. There might be 70 people that just want to make some money on this and don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever, that's the crypto space. But there's going to be those few people that are like, I'm not selling shit because I believe in Andrew to such a crazy level that this is like my testament to my belief in them. And I'm lucky too. Like, I've got people in Jelly Cubes that have a bunch. You know,
Oh,
Rami, the co-founder of
yeah.
Sneck, like he's
He's
our
got a ton
largest
of
holder
life.
of jelly and has never sold. And it's like, okay, whenever I feel frustrated, I think of those guys. I'm like, all right, like you got to show up for them.
Totally agree. I think I would say this as well, even when you're talking to project founders, going to events, like going to that first event and having other projects even help us out, like you want to win for them. And so that's I know those holders. I've met those holders. I met them again at Rare Evo. We'll meet them again this year. You want to show up and you want to be able to say, like, here's what we got now. Like, here's what's coming. Here's what's great. You mentioned Rami. I've seen him like on the levy lending stuff as well. Like he's big in a ton of stuff. He's moving a lot of ADA, way more than even I'm moving. Right. We need more of those. That's really what Cardano needs. You need 10 more of him that are actually participating in the ecosystem. There's a ton that are just sitting on ADA, right? But like they're actually moving in and out of tokens. I know that projects hate that when they sell, but at the end of the day, you need more people doing
It's
that.
needed.
It creates volume, and then it creates this. You want holders to think when I go to sell, I'm going to be able to sell. When they can't, that translates to every other project. I can have the best project in the world. Do you know why people sell my project right now? Because we still have a good floor price. Because they can't sell the other 10 projects that don't have a good floor price. They're just looking. They got to pay back the loan, and they go, I don't want to sell it, but I got to sell it. That's the same thing that's happening to World Mobile, Iagon, any of these good. Think about Jelly Cubes. Good grief. You got what, a 600 ADA floor price? How many of your cubes have sold because they still have a high floor price? They didn't want to sell them. They
It's
had
like
to.
one of their few NFTs, and they're like, screw it, like it's worth something, you know? Yeah. Especially
Exactly.
with the, yeah.
It's the capitulation event. It's like I'm selling everything I have of value and I'm leaving the space. That's when your
Yes.
stuff gets sold.
Yes. But dude, also you got some motivation from the chat. DK Boiler, let's go. Thunder's the best. Laser focus. We love you, Lil Thunder. Thank you for being you. Um,
DK picked the bourbon.
also, yeah.
Yep.
But guys, 250 people tuned in today throughout everything. So that's awesome. Great. I appreciate everyone that listened in wherever you listened in at. Hope we were able to answer a lot of your questions about this. Excited for your next steps. Really, I can't believe it's already been an hour. Really enjoyed having you on, Andrew. And to kind of wrap this up, was there any last minute thing you wanted to say? I know you have the material sale that's happening on the 14th. Lasting a few days.
So come listen this afternoon. We have a bank break room with Matera. You want to hear about this project. 23rd through the 30th, we are doing that pre-sale for mining. We have 40 miners that are already up and hashing right now. So again, it's going to be a good pre-sale. So check us out. And Jason, thank you. Thank you for the platform you give to projects. So really appreciate you having us on, but also that you have so many projects on. I think we need more of you, influencers that are like putting in the work to shine a highlight on these other projects. So really appreciate what you're doing with this podcast.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we'll end it there. Thank you guys for tuning in today. And